Hey, welcome back to Say You Look Tired. I'm Martin.
And I'm Dan.
Yeah, back for another episode.
Back again. We're back again.
School term, school life is in full swing.
Full swing. Is it Halloween now when this goes out?
Maybe, who knows?
Some schools don't do Halloween. Well, when this comes out, the school I was in last, I remember bringing in my pumpkins and things.
What, just didn't recognise her?
Well, there was someone I worked with that was like, what is that? And I went, oh, are you ready for Halloween too? And she was like, we don't do Halloween here. I went, what do you mean we don't do Halloween? I love Halloween.
Don't acknowledge it.
I think it's because they were very religious. And I was like, I was brought up religious as well. I know everything about it. That you're allowed to celebrate. I went to a Catholic school in Northern Ireland. We did Halloween there, please. It was fine. But
I went to
we're not going to be
I went
around
to
a
a
cauldron.
Catholic school, and I remember the others colouring in. Like, it was
Gravestones.
No. They had us colouring in posters for the Christmas fair. They had an idea of like, here's the posters. We'll get all the kids to colour them in different and we'll put them round and it'll be nice. And I always remember it because fully like proper Catholic school. And I remember...
I love how you had to say that to me. I went to one in Northern Ireland.
No, but I'm saying like in the thing, it was like, proper, like went to church, did all that thing. And we were all colouring the posters. And one of the teachers, who was kind of like a floating teacher, took people out. Did
they were that religious, they were floating.
She'd come in and she was like, Christmas. And our teacher was like, yeah, Christmas. And she was like, is it just your class doing this? Or is it all the classes? And I remember our teacher being like, all of them. Like we got told like, the poster and to colour it in. And she was like, yeah, but it says Christmas. And he was like, yeah, it says Christmas. But it said Chris Mass. Like it spelt it wrong.
Oh no. I was like, what is it? Like Christ.
It just said Chris. Christmas.
You're right. But did someone make this on the computer?
Yeah. And that was it.
Printed
Like
it.
half an hour of all our work.
goodness.
And he had to be like, no.
Half an hour colouring in.
But yeah, spelt wrong.
Oh my goodness me.
But
Well,
no,
Halloween
you're
was massive back home. In
No,
school.
I'm
Like,
trying to think.
We had like a disco. Obviously,
might have
raise
had
money for
discos,
pens.
yeah.
And like, I liked my primary school. I didn't like my secondary school as much. But there was two schools. There was the Key Stage 2 school and then the lower school, which was Key Stage 1. And you were allowed to deliver messages between the two. And you had to go through the graveyard. Graveyard. Can you imagine? So I got my Ouija board out in the way there and I was like, Granny. No, she was still alive. And,
how many years would go at once?
One.
That's just when you
My friend got run over in the car park. He's still alive. So we used to, after school, and I remember the fence around school was like that height.
Would they got run over after school or when they went on a message?
It was home time. We're all playing. No, not during messages. Though I remember it was the 90s. You could do what you like.
Yeah, but how big was this graveyard?
So imagine this is when you left, you had to go out the front door, which was just open. There was no fobs those days. Those weren't invented. The school door was just pegged open. Someone was dying of hangover. And so you would leave school and walk through the graveyard. It would take a good 5 minutes to get to the other school, but the lower school, which is now knocked down and turned into a car park.
I'm just thinking it's mad to go like, you 7-year-old over there.
It was probably the Key Stage 2 children. Yeah, because that was.
That's what I mean. The 7-year-old be
like, walk down, trusted.
Year 3s, off you go.
Nip down for a chip butty and go home. But yeah, I remember growing up in a Catholic school. I loved it. But we would do Halloween. We'd go to town. We'd be Halloween decorations and stuff in the classroom. So when I came to that other school, this is why we were talking about Halloween, because this might be out around Halloween. I was not allowed. And I was 34 at the time. I was like, what do you mean not allowed? And I was like, I'm not going to, like I said, get the children around a cauldron and do spells. We're just going to colour in some pumpkins and things, which was fine. But yeah, so this could be going out around, but the children loved it. They had a good time. So this might be going out around Halloween. If it's not, then I've got it wrong.
Yeah. But I do think back to when we were kids and stuff like that. And I think there wasn't as much stress, I don't think, on teachers back then. I'm not saying there wasn't stress on them, but there wasn't the
What
like
it is now.
national curriculum and building everything out. I think it was just coming in then. But I always think back to like my own education, and I think it's interesting. Like one of the things which doesn't get talked about enough in teaching is just like how much of an impact a teacher can have on children, and not like what your lesson looks like, but you being there and being able to do it. So I know, like, I was very fortunate, like, that my reception teacher was my year 2 teacher.
Oh, wow.
And why I was really fortunate with it was I've got dyslexia, I've got ADHD, and I was like, the way I've been told it is, when I was in reception, I was like near the top of the class. Do you know? So if you would have taught me in reception, you'd be like, oh, he's one of the ones, he's up here.
Yeah.
Then I had year 1. Then I went to her and she had me in year 2 then. And I was the bottom of the class.
So she would have been like, hold on a second.
Yeah, so when I went to year 1, the teacher was just like, oh, okay, he's bottom of the class. But, like, that's where you should be. But because of that there, and she was like, oh, I thought he'd be at the top.
Yeah.
Do you know? And so I remember my mum says, I got checked to see whether I was deaf. The first thing they thought was I must be deaf and I can't hear what the teacher's saying.
What was the deaf test back then?
Don't know.
But I only ask because these days it's probably nice. Back then it was probably like, hello!
That's what they thought. I was, the first thought was, like, he could have probably got away with it in reception of like, but when we're given the input at the front, he hasn't got a clue what anyone's saying. And I remember going in once, I'd had a appointment or something like there, so I was late into school. And I was remembering because there was about 20 minutes till like break. And I come in, and I remember it because it was the same teacher while I was in year 2. And I was probably going for a meeting for them to check what was up with me. But I went in, and I remember her saying, here, man, we're just doing this. So everyone was doing the work. And I come in, and she was like, I'll come over to my desk, I'll explain what we're doing. And she explained it, and she said, do you get what I want you to do? And I was like, no. And she was like, and I remember saying, it's exactly what we did yesterday, just with different like words. And I was like, no. And no, like, I wasn't being funny or anything. I remember it was just being like, no. Like,
what did she do?
She said, she tried for like a couple of minutes, and I think she must have looked at the clock and thought it was 10 minutes.
Wow.
And she just said to me, go to your desk and read.
She's like, just go away.
She said, just go read. And I was like,
go.
Oh, okay. And I just remember it because I went back to my desk, got out my book and started reading. And the kid next to me said, wait, like, what are you doing? You meant to be doing your work. I was like, she said, I don't have to. Like, sitting there.
Feet on the desk.
Dead happy with myself. And like, oh. She must have realized I just know how to do that. But what I was getting back to is like, because she had me in reception and then she had me on year 2, she was like, oh, so realistically, they found out then that I was dyslexic, like severely dyslexic, massive ADHD. I went on Ritalin. Well, I don't have the hyper, like, I do when I talk sometimes, but I don't have the hyperactivity where I'm always bouncing. So my trouble was, while the teacher was talking, I was just daydreaming.
Okay.
I was just gone.
Martin.
Yeah, like I'd just be gone. So the Ritalin helped me focus in that way.
Oh, that's good.
And like, I would say I never really struggled to read. I do struggle to read, but I never learned to struggle to read because I kind of learned to read when everyone else did. Wasn't like quite a lot of people with dyslexia got found later on. I was found while you're still, if you're 6, you're still learning to read. Oh, so yes. I got quite lucky that way. The whole comes to teacher, but realistically, I shouldn't have been a teacher. I shouldn't have went to university. Like, my life would have gone a lot different if I hadn't have been found with it. Because I would have just been on like that. Oh, you'll be lucky.
Do you see that as like a sliding doors moment?
Yeah, I do. And I think it's so interesting because especially like, I know right now, lots of people are getting diagnosed with ADHD in later life. Dyslexia a few years ago, they were seeing more of it and doing it. But you think like, I'm 36 30 years ago, how many children were getting spotted with dyslexia or ADHD?
Mm-hmm. No, none.
Not. I used to be the only one in my school. Do you know what I mean? I was the only one.
Tim.
So to me, it is like that sliding doors moment of like, really, I shouldn't have gone to uni. I shouldn't have become a teacher. I shouldn't have done any of these things, because if I hadn't had it a second time, I would have just been like, oh, he's near the bottom of the class.
Yeah.
And it was some 2 sliding door moments where with it. One that I had as my teacher. And then my mum and dad had basically explained it to me like when I was a kid as well. And it sounds like there was some test, like, you know, a science exam or something like that. You know, they'd give us a test and they either it had been forgotten it and it had been left in, or they'd put it in as a bit of a joke, like a question that 6-year-old shouldn't get right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And it was something to do with condensation and, you know, well, it's going to steam up and you can do it like this and you can catch the water and you can do this. And I got no questions right on this science exam, apart from this really hard question at the bottom, which was like really logical thinking, which made her especially be like, the stuff which I've been teaching them about, he's got none of it. But the thing which just they had to rely on their brain, he was the only one that got it. So there must be something going on wrong here.
Yeah.
So between her going, oh, he used to be really bright and now he's the bottom of the class, but he's got the question right, which everyone else got wrong.
The thing was, you still were you. You still were yourself.
But
it's the condition of the class.
I just mean with it, like that side of when I say shouldn't have been a teacher, shouldn't have gone to university, because my grade should have been so low.
Yeah.
You know, if I hadn't got that support at the right time. And I think that's one of the troubles with school at the minute. There's a lot of talk right now in the press and papers about SEN and it not having the right support and not having the right funding. And I agree that it doesn't. But I also think as well as it not getting the right funding, we burn teachers out so much that if you took me from then and put me in a classroom now, I wouldn't get spotted because that teacher would be so burnt out.
100%.
She's not going to like, oh, you got that question right? Oh, yeah. Okay. There wouldn't even be a second thought because there's so much more going around. That teacher had enough time. Not like, oh, she had so much time. She had enough kind of time to be able to take a step back and go, there's something wrong here. I'm going to look at some of the things and look into when there wasn't any internet. And she had to go and like talk and research people. Research what might be wrong. That's why they went down the deaf route first. I got a hearing test. Fine. Not deaf. So then they were like, what else can it be? Do you know, I'm pretty sure my mum cried when she found out I was dyslexic because she didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
She was just like, oh my God. Like, he's got what? And they were like, oh, it's fine. But
it's what?
Yeah. Do you know, no one had heard of it.
No.
But it's that thing. And I think as teachers, I think sometimes it's forgotten how powerful you can be in the classroom. Not in the sense of like, oh, wasn't that an amazing lesson? Or didn't I do this? Or didn't I do that? But in the sense of like, if you've got enough energy and you take the time with the kids, you can have a lasting impact. I can't tell you, apart from the lesson I talked about, I went in and was like, man, I don't have a clue what you're going on about. Like, I can't remember a single thing she taught me. But yet she did something which changed the trajectory of my life because of it. Yeah. And it's so, to me, it's so interesting, that side of it. Like,
was she your favorite teacher?
I'd say
ever.
Do you know what? It's a tough one because you're probably not going to want to wear this.
Go for it. Why? What?
Well, even though,
what do you mean? Well, you don't know. Okay, we're waiting here. Tenterhooks.
Well, even though obviously she's had the biggest impact on my life, I can't remember really a single thing about her.
Okay.
Because it was so young.
Oh, okay.
And that's why I'm saying you might not want to hear. Like,
on that,
reception teachers
I
ever really be the
always want to
favourite
be
teacher.
everyone's favorite teacher. I'm like, I love hearing that. So actually, now that you say that, about 3 weeks ago, I got a message to my Mr. Mac website, and I was like, I'm sure I recognize that name. Someone who's now done their A levels or whatever it is. Hey, Mr. Mac, I thought you let you know that I've done my A levels and I've been really sick for half the year. So I've missed a lot of my classes, but I've done really well and I'm going to do X, Y, Z. But I just want to take the time to say thank you because I always remember you teaching us about this, this, and this. And I'll never forget how much you done for us. And oh my goodness. And I was having a really awful day, mental health wise, because I was going through a lot. And I just happened to get this message. And I was like, oh my goodness, I taught that to like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And they still remembered who I was. And they're not chatting now. They're like, what, 19? Messaged me and I was like, that is so nice. And I was like, I obviously just left it. And I was like, oh my goodness, thank you so much. But I would like bump into parents in Leicester. And like, it's funny seeing them old as well. Because I remember the parents were younger back then. I went, oh, you all right? It's been a tough time. And they don't recognize me. They hear the voice. Oh. And they would say, oh, Mr. Mag, they still talk about you. And so one of my friends actually works in the NHS and they text me the other day saying, Dan, you'll never believe it. So-and-so was coming in for whatever it was they were coming in for. And the parent was like, oh, remember whatever Mr. Mac used to say? And he was like, hold on a second. Is that Dan McFarlane? Blah, blah, blah. And they were like, yeah. And I was like, oh my goodness, what a small world. But yeah, so they won't all remember. But when you were saying about school, when I think about primary school, it was a long time ago. It was the 90s. I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember the teachers who did fun things, who were there for you. Like my favorite ever teacher was called Mr. McCahan, and he's no longer with us, bless him. But I was quite the child that was quite loud.
Yeah.
Thought I could do what I want sometimes. And one day I came in and my mum had bought me these pair of sunglasses and they were my favorite thing I'd ever had in my life. They were like circular ones. It was the 90s and they're like red. And I brought them in and I said to him, can I wear them in class? Because they're my nighttime reading glasses. He let me do it. So there I am in class with these glasses on in literacy, whatever it was.
It is little things like that, isn't it? Like obviously, yeah, okay.
But he was such a nice teacher. He never shouted at us.
Yeah.
Took the time to speak to you. I always remember like having chats with him and he was so nice. And, you know, I found it hard to concentrate at school. And it just really helped me. Secondary school, I hate it. But the teachers were nice.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the environment.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is it? Like I remember, like, obviously she had the biggest impact. I remember having a teacher in year 5. His name was Mr. Beck. And his big thing was, like, he was that teacher in the school who, you know, there's always one teacher in all the schools who everyone wants.
Yeah.
Well, again, it won't be you, will it? They've all had you.
They've all had me. You're not. But I like choosing the classes you're not getting in my class. It's like X Factor. Front row, you're in my class. Second row, sorry, you're going next door.
But his big thing, I was remember, like he was a really good teacher. He was like you said there, it was near enough identical. You know, he'd take the time and stuff. But I remember his big thing, which I remember, is he knew every Shakespeare play. He knew every Shakespeare play and he could summarize them all. So he would, if we had time at the end of the day, and there was like 15 minutes left, he'd be like, right, okay, Macbeth. And he'd tell the story of Macbeth in like 15 minutes, but he'd also like have children act it out while he was talking. So he'd be like, Dan, you're Macbeth, stand up at the front. Right, and your wife, such and such, is at the front with you. And there's the king. You're the king, get up there. And he'd go through the full thing, but then he'd be like, and then them two had a sword fight. Here's 2 rulers, have a fight.
Oh, I love it.
But like fully like a full story of Macbeth in 15 minutes with near enough everyone in the class having a part. But he could do it with every story in Shakespeare.
That's talent.
Do you know what I mean? And it's little things like that. I think like people remember a lot longer. I remember a teacher you had where there was a book she was obsessed with. Well, I don't know, she probably wasn't obsessed with it, but that was her book she read. And it was like Dino the Dino or something like that. And she'd read all them. It's what we'd have. Do you know?
Yeah, I read this character called Pete the Cat, and I have all the books, and I always read it to all my classes every single year. And some of them, when they would like move up through school, like, oh, do you remember Pete the Cat? Yeah, I remember Pete.
And that'll be the bit that they remember. Do you know? I think it's mad. Like, again, there's so much focus on lessons. There's so
Mhm.
much on this and that and that. But especially in primary, the things anyone really remembers are all the bits outside the lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the fun.
Yeah, the bits when, let's do this or let's do that.
Like whenever I think back to my early days of teaching myself, I only remember like from the first 7 years of my first school, the fun things we did. Like we got a bouncy castle in one time for the children. We got all the parents in. We made fruit salads. We did a pirate topic when we made an actual pirate ship out of pallets outside. My friends and I. That's when we had time, and then I used to be forest schools lead, so I was out running around outside in the forest and digging holes and using. We had 5-year-olds using bow saws. What's that about? Like, come on, everyone, let's go. I would be petrified to do that these days. Using hammers and nails, lighting fires. Yeah. I taught the children how to light a fire in a safe way. They had this little thing called a fire steel, and they lit it. And then these were reception children, and they would cook baked potatoes for the other half of the class on a fire, on an actual fire. I remember Karen, my TA, would be like, Dan, that fire's getting a little big every week. Because I was like, let's make it bigger. Let's add more. that was the inner child in me going, how much can I get away with here? Let's make a big fire. And like, they had to come in and we toasted marshmallows on it. We had the parents in. It was so much fun.
That's it. And I think we're going away from that. Not even in health and safety standards. Like, not like, oh, you can't do that now. I think we're going away from all that because of how many rules there are.
Yeah.
Because of like how much you can't waste time in the class. How much everything's coming in. Like, I personally think quite a lot of the curriculum should be scrapped. I think you should focus on maths, English, and probably now computing. I know science is still the one, but I think it should be computing. No, but after that, I think it should just be teach them what you want. Like, we want you to be creative with them. We want you to do this. Why does it matter whether a year 5 class are learning about the Romans or the Great Fire of London? Like why?
When they get all the shoe boxes out and burn them in the playground.
But why does it matter? Why not just be like, we want you to nail maths. We want you to nail English. Computing's probably going to be very important to their lives. We want you to get some of that in. Everything else, just go and have fun. Imagine how much more relaxed school would be if we got rid of history, geography. Not even got rid of them.
Teaching it in a different way. But that's what you mean, yeah.
Not even like, no, but where there's no boxes, there's no ticking, there's no thing. Go, do you know what? When they get to secondary school, then they can start learning about geography and science and history. But in primary, it should just be, let's make sure they can read and write. Let's make sure they can do the maths. Let's make sure they've got some like basic computer literacy. And then let's have fun.
Yeah.
And let's get them enjoying stuff, exploring stuff, having fun with stuff, making PowerPoints on stuff, drawing posters, experimenting. Do you know where you could just be like, do you know what, this week we're going to focus on this? Do you know, when you could ask the class and be like, you could lean in if you've got a class that's more into football, or you've got a class that's more into
we can
science.
Do sort of that sort of stuff in early years, but not. Yeah, we used to do it a lot more back in the day. It'll follow out child interest. I still do it now, but like, if children were like interested in a certain thing, you would go down that way, and you'd try and fit the learning around it. You can't always shoehorn everything in, but there's ways of making it work, and they loved it.
Realistically, I know it sounds stupid, and it sounds like a little bit like, you know, I think there's massive development when they're in reception, when they're in early years. But realistically, I don't think children should even be graded in that first year. I don't think there should be any assessments. I don't think there should be any at the beginning or the end.
I know in early years they've got the early learning goals, and at the end of the year you have to pass the first 12 with expected to get a good level of development. But not included in that is expressive arts and design, which sounds like a college course, which is creativity and understanding the world, which is basically like the natural world, people in communities and history, that sort of thing. So all like the fun things. So they're graded in PSCD, physical development, literacy, and maths.
Yeah.
And they have to get expected in all of them. So the parents I never really made a big deal about it. But like when they go to year 1, they're like, oh, that child's emerging. They didn't get GLD.
Yeah.
They didn't get it. They are Some of them have just turned 4
Yeah.
when they've started my class, and whereas some of them are already 5. So there's a massive difference anyway when they come in. Not all the time, but there is. And then there's the phonics screening in year 1. But I know we've spoken about it before, and I'm like,
Yeah, but don't get me wrong. I think that's ridiculous and nonsense and shouldn't be there. But year 1, I think that's when assessment should start. I think reception should literally be, yes, we're going to teach them. Yeah, we're going to get them. But the big thing should be, we're just going to get used to being in school. Like, not like, only thing you do, but a lot of it is as well. Learning to line up for lunch, going into assemblies, like doing the register. That is already taking a lot out of them.
yeah.
Do you know, to add in like, now we're going to make sure you're ticking this box and you're doing this and you're doing that. It should be. I'm not saying the work's not important. It is. But it shouldn't be judged.
I love focusing on the basics.
It should just be like let's just relax. Let's have a year of getting used to school. Do you know what? In a year's time, when they've got their feet in the door and they're just settled and they're all right, then we'll go, okay, where are they at?
Yeah.
But I always think, so you say, I'm having a lad in November. In 5 years, when he gets to about 3, I'm probably going to take an interest in making sure he can count and do the alphabet and write his name. And
Capital letter at the beginning, lowercase after.
Yeah.
So many children come to school writing everything in caps. I'm like, are you shouting at me? Or are you telling me your name? David!
But the thing is, so if I do that, right, a lot of the early year stuff he's going to be able to tick off before even starts, right? That doesn't tell you anything about his intelligence. Just tells you that I've spent a year with him. Do you know, going, right, let's do this, let's do that. I don't think really their playing field comes into, I think about year 3 or 4. I think that's when it settles and then it comes onto your own learning development. But I think you can get to year 2 and it can just be the input from the parents. And obviously that's going to have a big start later on as well. But to me, it's madness for me to do that. Say, me do that. They come in, they exceed all expectations on everything you've got because they've had a head start on it and me battering them beforehand. To then, for the rest of the time he's in school, he's got to be the top of the class because I taught him to write his name before he went to school. Because I taught him what numbers were before he went to school.
Do you know the expectation they put in early years children? So like, and I don't know how I did it. I always think every year, my goodness, how did we get there? So they start school. Some of them can't even hold a pencil. Some of them can't write their name yet. I always say yet. Some of them can't do a zip on a coat. But by the time they get to July, they're expected to be able to write a simple sentence, phrase / sentence by themselves, read books by themselves, no number bonds to 10. 5 had what? 6 had what? I'm not, obviously I don't click at them. They have to just recite them. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like we, the majority of them get there, and the children who don't get there yet, they just need more time. That's all they need. But I always think, and especially in the last 2 years, whenever I was full time, I stopped putting pressure on myself to get to, I was like, it will happen. I was like, I'm not going to make these children feel pressured at all. We had the best time, even though those classes were so tough.
That's it. But that's what it should be. That's what it should be. It should just be enjoying it. And it is mad, as I say. I'm not saying parents play the system, but you will have parents who are like, I'm going to give them a good start. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to work with it as well. And you're just skewing all the data. Yeah. That doesn't need to be data. Why does it obviously it matters if they can write their name. Why does it matter whether a reception child can write a full sentence and do those number bonds? I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but why should it be, tick box judged? It should be, okay, there's a lot going on. For a lot of them, it's the first time they're really getting to grips with any of this. Let's give them a year. Let them learn it all. And then let it kind of sink in a little bit. They come back the next year and then we see where they're at.
Yeah. But then you don't even know what's going on in their lives. Like when you were
Yeah.
saying that, there was a little boy who hadn't made the progress that he should have done in the spring term. His reading levels didn't go up by a couple of colour bands or whatever. And it wasn't anyone in my school that picked this out. It was somebody else. We went to one of those meetings, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, that child has lost their house. They are now living in the Premier Inn. Mum and dad have gone. Can you imagine the turmoil that child's went through, having their own home with their toys and all, going to live in a Premier Inn?
They should be reading every night with their parents.
And I just was like, and I was always passionate about every class, even the classes that really pushed me to the edge of I'm about to scream.
Yeah.
I still always found some way of being like, we're all fine. We're all a team. We're in this together. And I was like, absolutely not. You do not know the background behind that number.
Yeah. And that's it. And to me, I think that's what's killing teaching a lot. Obviously, there's a lot of burnout. There's a lot of frustration. It comes from pointless data, pointless paperwork, just pointless life in general of just like all this stuff which is draining energy, making teachers feel rubbish, making teachers feel meh, which then means that they can't spot these things.
No.
It means they can't have the fun. They can't have the impact that they could have done because they haven't got the mental capacity.
No.
So many teachers are just drained.
Mm-hmm. And I do, like you said, it takes the fun out of it.
It does.
And like because I got myself on track, I was able to enjoy everything. And then now when I go into schools on like supply,
You can see it.
I love it. Like I love going in, and I can teach. I can't teach everything. Obviously, I'm working on it. But like in the last year, I've taught year 2, I've taught year 1, I've taught reception, and I go in there and I'm like, yeah, okay, I know what this lesson is, and we'll try and have a bit of fun during the day. And so many of my happy memories of being a teacher are when we've had the fun. Even like, I will never forget teaching phonics one time, and this little girl rolled her eyes at me. This was years ago. And I was like, what's wrong with you? Well, and she was like, I'm bored. And I was like, for me, being the person I am, I don't want anyone to be bored around me, even my friends. And I was like, bored? You've got a West End performer for the price of a teacher here. And she was like, what's next? Because a phonics lesson is the same thing every single day. And I got the flashcards out again, and she was like, ugh. And I was like, I get it. I was like, I'm bored too. And I threw them on the floor and went, well, we all go outside and have a quick run around for 5 minutes. I was like, scream, shout, do what you like. We went out, ran around, came back in again. And then I was like, is there any way we could change this up a little bit? No. So you have to do the same thing every single day. And I thought about it. As an adult, you would hate coming in every single day for your entire school year and be shown this pack of cards with these squiggles on. And like, I was like, can we not just turn it? Can we not make it different someday by putting it on a PowerPoint, some jazzy music? So I wrote some songs to do it, but of course, whenever the person came in to like watch, I did flashcards. No singing today.
That's it, isn't it? And a lot of schemes and a lot of data, and it is just boring. Isn't it?
Boring. Do you have a favorite memory from primary school that just sticks into your head, sticks right out of your head?
I would say probably what I was talking about before, like where he was like always doing the Shakespeare stuff. Because it was a whole class, you're there, you were having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And the big thing was like, you knew there was no work.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like you knew you could just always relax.
Yeah.
And not have to like think about it.
I loved my primary school. St. Patrick's and St. Bridget's, Ballycastle. It was so, I always think they did Christmas very well. I always think of like, we were talking about nostalgia earlier. When I think about that, I always think about the excitement. We had time. We were so excited. I played Joseph in the nativity in the chapel, and I remember those times. I remember like we would all go into the hall, and Mr. Kennedy would have the what's that called? The overhead projector. It was one that if you were special, you got picked to turn it. So, my turn. Almost like an auto cue. and the lyrics to like Adeste Fidelis would be up on the screen. And we'd all take it so seriously. And I just absolutely loved it. But I remember one time Mr. McCann wanted us all to sing a song at like an assembly or something. And there was this man called Charlie Lawrenceborough who's like I don't even know how you describe him, like a folk singer. I hope he's still alive. He was my granny's favorite singer. And Mr. McCahan was like, here's the lyrics. And we all sang the song, My Forever Friend. And I still remember us all sitting in the classroom singing this song all together. I actually can picture it right now. We're in a mobile. It was like a brand new mobile, by the way. It wasn't like an old shady one. And us all just singing it together and having the best time. And he just made every single day fun at school. And he was like the best teacher I probably ever had. And I remember, he's no longer with us, but I remember working in a pizza shop whenever I was at uni, and he used to come in and order pizzas.
Yeah.
And he was like, Dan, there's always something special in you. You can do this. And I remember telling them, oh, guess what? You know, I bumped into him. I was like, I've got into a PGCE. I'm going to be a primary school teacher. And he's like, I wasn't working in the pizza shop at that time. He's like, I'm so proud of you. I always knew you were going to do really well. And even then I was like, 24.
Yeah.
And even then I still felt like that child who was at school because you wanted it well. I was like, oh, I did really well. I made him really proud. And yeah. I don't know why it made me feel
and that's the thing, isn't it? Like teaching does that. And there'll be loads of kids and stuff like that now, but I just worry that we're getting to a point where that's going to happen less and less and less and less, because I'm not saying you can't build relationships with your class now. You can. But so many teachers, you can't build a relationship while you're burnt out.
No. And in our day, the same teachers were probably there in the school until you left.
Yeah.
Whereas now, the turnover of staff is harder. So like when in my first school, I was there, when I left, I was there for 7 years. So my first class I ever had were in year 6, and I taught every year in the school. And I left on the last day of term, and the same day my first class left. But I taught half the school at that stage. Well, maybe some had left. But it was nice for them to see their old teacher at school.
It is mad that, isn't it? Because teachers now, it is obviously because you have so many teachers who leave the profession. So many teachers who like flip because of nightmares with SLT and everything like that. Yeah, there isn't. Teaching, like, isn't that consistent anymore, is it? Of like teachers in a school and stuff like that.
Yeah, because some of the teachers who taught me at primary school, I think some of them are still there teaching.
Yeah.
Not all of them, but like the last time I went a walk around, because the school's been knocked down and rebuilt, and Miss Weisner, she was also one of my favorite teachers. Showed me around the school, and I was like, why does it look different, Dan? It's been knocked down, rebuilt. And but some of the teachers were still there. This was probably about 10 years ago, by the way. Were still there because the school atmosphere was nice, and you know, it was just nice to see the same teachers every single day for years and years and years.
Yeah.
Whereas you wouldn't really get that now.
No, you probably wouldn't. You'd probably just have like a couple of years in a school,
a few supplies,
next ones. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, isn't it? As I say, it's probably a good place for us to like wrap this episode up. But I just think like it's a big one. I think if every teacher can remember to like put themselves first a bit more, so that they don't get as burnt out, they kind of just ignore some of the paperwork and just say, do you know what? I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. It's pointless. If I get in trouble, I get in trouble. And just focus on being there and present.
Yeah.
You're going to change a lot more lives. Yes, your lesson might not have the perfect PowerPoint. Yes, like you might have a worksheet which looks a bit scruffy, but none of the kids are going to remember. But they are going to remember like the impact you have on them.
100%. And even right now, if you're listening to this and you're burnt out and you're like, I hate this, I don't want to go to school tomorrow, there'll be a child in your class who can't wait to see you tomorrow. I know you hear this all the time, but there will be, and you will make that difference to somebody in that classroom, even if the workload's too much and you're like, I don't want to use a purple pen because I can't find one. There will be someone who's looking forward to seeing you tomorrow when you go in. And like you've been saying, you can make that difference, but please look after yourself and live your life as well.
Yeah, and leave us 5 stars.
And leave us 5-star review, of course, and listen and share it with everybody.
Nice one. Right, bye now.
Bye.